Welcome back to another episode of the Upnext podcast. I got two special guests in the building with me today. I got the future mayor of DC, Mr. Red Grant, and I got my OG, Cedric Bakers here with me. This podcast is a little bit special. Usually I try to, go in, but I want people to understand like how important this really is, especially for us on the come up. Because it's two people sitting here with me today that's actually doing things on major levels that's inspiring us in so many different ways, especially for somebody like me. Just being a comedian, an actor, and now running for mayor, how important was that for you to really get back into the community and show people that not only can you do this, but you can do this and touch people in different ways?
I just think I've always been involved with the community as a humanitarian, as a philanthropist. Ever since I've been in the entertainment business, I found a way to stay stuck and with the community. I think being involved with the community is very important because, we all come from a certain place. I come from Southeast Washington, D.C., a place that many say that the youth should not or will not get out of, or will not find a way to change the world. But I see our youth differently. I see that our youth, when given a chance and an opportunity, that we all are able to touch people and to move to higher heights. But the opportunities have to be given to them. And I was given opportunities, and I was able to take them and run with them. And when I ran with them, I saw that I had to continue to give back to the people that gave me those opportunities and the community that gave me the opportunity. So, it's very important that we all get involved with our communities, and stay involved.
So, at what point was it, at what stage in your career you knew that you can have time to delegate that just to reach out to the young community? And when I actually had reached out to you, I was asking like some of the ways that us as, even though you're saying we are getting more involved, but us as the next generation, what kids look up to and whatever trend we set, that's what they follow. What can we do to, just influence them to do the right things and to actually provoke change and spark change within our community? Because I'm one of the advocates, like this podcast, for example. A lot of people wanted me to talk about like girls versus boys or like little debates and stuff like that. But these are the conversations that really matter to me because not only did I start this podcast because it was different from the norm, like the rap, the basketball, and things of that nature. I want kids to know like you can go to school, you can be successful on other avenues as long as you push. So how important is that for you to create avenues and see podcasts like this for us to spark change in the young community?
I mean, as we were talking before we started your podcast, I probably sat down with probably about 50 to 60 podcasts that I did think that deserve an opportunity to have me on. Of course, you can be on the CNNs and you can be on the MSNBCs and the CBS and the ABCs, but these are the podcasts that really matter because you guys are the future of podcasts, and I think that when we work together and we start putting our pieces together, we can build our community up. And I think that's what's missing in our community, like us all helping each other. Instead of saying, okay, I'm just going to do it if it's on this level. Now I'm going to do it when whatever level it is on. I look at your podcast as a super huge podcast. No matter where we at, no matter where you're shooting, you putting the same energy into the podcast as everybody else. So your audience is super huge because I found out that like people get to a certain place in their life and they kind of get big-headed and they stop understanding that it's the reach back. So, Willie Lynch had a conversation about us as slaves and how to control us. And if you separate the young from the old, the light from the dark, the women from the men, the ones that live in the hill and the ones that live in the valley, you can control your slaves, and sometimes we still have that same slave mentality of separation. And if we continue to have that same slave mentality, we can't blame anybody else for our demise. We got to take it upon ourselves right now to pick ourselves up by the bootstraps and help one another.
Absolutely, I completely agree with that. Man, John, just with the Willie Lynch mentality, man. Just
Can you hear your mic?
it's tapped in. It's good.
Okay.
Yeah. Just with the Willie Lynch mentality, just kind of divide and conquer, and even for our generation, Android, iPhone, right. Light skin, dark skins.
Right.
Come on, man. We all got the newest technology in our hand.
Yeah.
We all come from Africa.
Yeah.
From the same descendants. Like, what are we really talking about? Right. What's the real debate here? Like, but once people understand that there's power in numbers, you make enough noise. Right. You know what I mean? And then you make a change. You make a difference, one way or another. Yeah. But they're gonna hear you. They're gonna begin to acknowledge your cause or what it is you're standing for, and eventually you'll have a ripple. But when everybody's divided, when everybody's trying to be Jordan instead of being a team player, everybody wants to shine. Everybody wants the light on them. Nobody will ever win. No. So Jay-Z said it best. Nobody wins when the family feuds. Right. Yeah. Keep it together, man.
Yeah. And that's why this podcast right here is a special moment for me because, okay, it's two individuals that I see, right, that's doing it on different levels, but I look up to you guys, right? So for you, you've been on TV, you've been on your comedy tours and things like that, and for you have successful business. You need big partnerships and you work with a lot of people, right? And it's special for me because I can actually reach out to you, right? And I can get knowledge and gain from you. And now you coming on my podcast, even no matter how much time we spend here, I can kind of pick back off your brain, and now I can fuel it and use it for the younger generations because I have a lot of kids that look up to me. Like they think what I'm doing is like one of the biggest things out here. And
it is.
It is.
Sure,
it
is super huge. You gotta, they look up to leaders.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
If you're the leader that's gonna lead them into some BS, then that's what they look up to.
Right.
But if you have the opportunity to lead them into a righteous place, where they see life differently, and they don't fall back on the negative aspect of life, but they fall back and they fall up to the positive aspects of life. I think that sometimes our youth are just screaming out because they don't have that person that care about them and love them, right, or that leader around them to lead them into the proper places. Because the OGs used to lead the youth into the right places. Right. Now the OGs is telling the youth to do BS, or allowing them, and they seeing it happen. Right. Game comes from people who have knowledge of the game. So these young people, they still got young minds. They need people to look up to and say, all right, look, man, that was dumb. Saying y'all got to do it this way. Right. You messing up the money in the community. You around here shooting, killing people, right, and disrespecting the community. You really messing up the money in the community. Mm-hmm. So if you start looking at life like how our community can be flourishing more equity-wise, then they see another difference. And it's about education too. Right. Educating about financial literacy in schools. Being able to create wealth. They took most of the vocational out of schools. They took most of the trades out of schools. We got to put that back into schools. They took the recreation centers, the boys and girls clubs, and all the other power programs out of the community, and they want the kids to be successful. Mm-hmm. They don't give them education on the summer jobs that are available to them. Mm-hmm. It's like they keep it a secret. It's not a secret. These young men and women need money, they need programs, and they want to be successful in life. You can't tell me no kid in the world don't want to be successful.
We all do. Mm-hmm.
Everybody do.
We all do, for sure, definitely.
But sometimes success is what they think is success.
Right.
Yeah,
because I even got caught up in that yesterday. It was a funny story because yesterday, right before this interview, I was saying here and I was like, not too many people, although you are giving back and you coming on shows, is like, but not too many people get to actually say I sat across and talk to two individuals that do it on the highest level. So for me, I didn't take it lightly, but it was kind of dawning on me because I'm at the starting point of my journey. Mm-hmm. I know that it's still work that I got to do, and I was a little bit down, but I'm big on talking to God, finding spirituality and stuff like that. And then I got I never seen I forgot the technical name of it, but it was a cloud with like a rainbow in it. Mm-hmm. And I researched it, and it was like hope. Your angels is here guiding you, protecting you. Sure. And so when I was coming in today, I was a little nervous. You know, I want things to go smooth. Everything want to go in its plan. But I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just take advantage of the opportunity, and I want to learn and pick the brains, right? So if you can say to the young community, what are some avenues, or what should we be researching as far as, or what should we be voicing as to actually search for these things that we're trying to seek, because success doesn't mean riches and fame for everybody. You know, success can mean taking care of your family, over that. But how can we navigate those things if we're not exposed to them? You know, how can we understand and see what we have in front of us if we're not exposed to them?
Can I tap in on that?
Yeah.
To piggyback on what he's saying, as you go into this, I think as an adult, you got two choices. You perpetuate the cycle in which you saw growing up, be it good or bad, or you pivot, right? So for us growing up on the South Side, we didn't see this growing up. We didn't see much success and positivity growing up. I grew up in Naylor Gardens. I got used to hearing gunshots at the age of 7. You know what I mean? Like, I had a key to the house when I was 6, because that's the life we had to live, because my mom had to work.
Yep.
I knew when I became of age, and by of age, I meant a teenager. When I could do different, I was going to do different. You know, I started my first company when I was 7, and I've ran since then. In an effort to go and show all the kids that are still in Southeast and all over the country, all over the world, this is where he came from and this is what he's doing. I can do that too. You know what I mean? Sure, I'm not LeBron or Mike, you know what I mean? Or I'm not Wayne or Jay-Z, but I took the little bit of opportunity, the little bit of window of hope, and I blew that up and magnified it just for those behind me. It's not for the gratification for me. It's not for for the celebrity of myself, but to show the kids this is what's possible. Red came from Southeast DC, been a comedian all over the world. Now he's looking to change home. He's coming back home. I'm gonna put I know the change the city needs. I'm coming back home. Or he could have been a joke on the sideline, drinking and joking about it, and not invoking any change. But instead, he's like, no. I don't want to see what's happened in the last X number of years. I want to be that change. And here he is invoking change. But you got to decide, are you going to perpetuate the cycle, be it a good or bad cycle, or you going to go in and go do something about it? You're going to go in and change that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think, you know, somebody asked me the other day, are you serious, right, about, you know, what you're doing? And I'm like, I said, I've only told jokes on stage, right? So I've never been off stage telling no jokes. If you ever hang around me, you'll be like, "Damn, he's super serious." But I think that's just from where we come from. You know, yeah, you have a sense of humor because of the blocks you come off of. You know, that's how you sometimes get through life. You know, and you get, instead of having to fight, you know, you might joan on somebody. You know, or defend yourself that way. But I always tell people, like, 10% of my life is on stage. Like, that other 90% is business. You know, my company, Red Grant Entertainment, Red Grant Films, R Grant Inc., you know, have always been super successful. And, you know, I've worked with and employed thousands of people and worked with millions and millions of dollars in budgets. And views after views before it was the internet, before it was social media. So before it was you was able to go on your phone and see it, we was already selling 300 million copies of DVDs. So I always try to link people, you know, to understand, like, my real background, like my business background. You know, over 25 shows produced for the Viacom network. You know, just pushing like this pen to write as much as possible. When people said that we weren't a creative individuals and we weren't going to be smart enough to write movies and scripts after scripts, you know, and I try to tell my youngins, don't let people put you in a box. Don't let them box you up. You know, yeah, you got a podcast, but you want a television station, you know. And they're going to say, man, you can't own a television station. Yes, you can own a television station. You know, in today's world we live in, you can own a television station. You can do whatever you want to do. It's about the effort that you put into it. I read a book called Four Agreements, and I don't know if you ever read this book, but it's a deep book. I think every person in this room should read it if they haven't. Listen to the audio, but it tells you to keep your words impeccable. Don't take nothing personal. Never assume, and always do your best. Right. So sometimes in our community, we take things personal. We always assuming. We don't keep our words impeccable. And we sometimes don't do our best.
Facts.
So when you wake up in the morning, you getting here today, you did your best.
Right.
You got two great gentlemen in front of you. That means you did something to do your best to get us here.
Exactly.
You feel me? So you ain't really got to look down on anything. And tomorrow your best might be just sitting up in the bed and just playing PlayStation.
And not cussing somebody out.
Right.
or not, not beating yourself up.
Yeah.
So, but, we gotta look at life in reality. Sometimes we let other people create our reality.
Sure.
Facts.
And once you allow people to create your reality, then you fall into their cage. So
and I think that's more the case now more than ever because of social media. Right? So we see this lifestyle on social media, and a lot of people feel as if they aren't living up to that, if they aren't matching that, if they aren't comparing to that they aren't doing well. And I'll tell you, personal story, I'll make it quick. This lesson I learned for myself, this was about 7 or 8 years ago. I picked up a client for another partner of mine that has a transportation company. He's like, look, he's the head of a construction company. He's not going to want to talk to you. Pick him up. It's a 2-hour ride to his house. Get him home. Cool. I said, all right, cool. Get in. He instantly wants to talk.
Right.
I said, okay, cool. Right.
Right against the
grain. I say, okay, cool. We talk everything. We talk politics. We talk houses. We talk cars. We talk business. We talk stocks. Everything. So he gets on the phone. He said, Cedric, I got to take this call. Cool, do your thing. He gets to talking to his boy, and he says, X, Y, and Z wants me to sell my part of the company. I guess I'm presuming the conversation his boy's saying, because I can't hear him, but I'm presuming what he said. I guess his boy asked him, well, how much is that worth? How much do you own? He said, I own 4.5% of the company. He said, all right. He said, how much is that worth? He's like, 1.2. So they got to talk about other things, trips to the south of France, blah, 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 blah. They come back and double back around. His boy said, well, what you going to do? You going to sell? He's like, I don't know what you think. And I'm presuming his boy said, well, another 1.2 wouldn't hurt. My man sitting in the back seat said, you know what? Another 1.2 billion wouldn't hurt. My whole left side went numb. Because prior to that conversation, I thought Jay-Z and Diddy money was the most money possible. I thought 500 million was the ceiling. Yeah. This dude just said 1.2 billion like it was a hundo, right? And it blew my mind. But since that day, I've gone harder because now I see that it's possible, it's attainable, and that's what he's doing. That's what Ray's doing. That's what we need in the community to see. This is possible. When you're in the hood and you see a joker just playing ball and selling dime bags of weed, if that's what you see on a regular and he's shining, that's what you think is possible. Yeah. You're not going to want or aspire for more than that. Yeah. When I heard this conversation, it blew my mind, man. Like, cool, Jay-Z and Diddy are cool, but I want that kind of money. Like, I want to know what that feels like.
I told my partner yesterday, I said, I want people to, like, I don't want to know how I was living. I want to know how I died. Like, I want people to be like, okay, damn, he died with 500 million, 700 million, and he passed that on to his kids. And he passed that on to his wife.
He started this foundation.
Yeah, like how much can you attain right now as you're living? Right. Like, and it's not about all the time about how you live. It's about how you gonna die.
The legacy you leave behind.
Yeah, and if you're not thinking about the legacy you're gonna leave behind, then you're gonna be just always trying to grab for that little bit of dough, that little bit of moment. Nah, it's big moments out there. Somebody told me yesterday, prioritize, practice, and perfect the plan.
Man,
prioritize, practice, and perfect the plan.
I love
the
that.
4 P's.
I love that.
And they also told me, what you think about me is none of my business.
Absolutely.
And the last thing they told me, divorce yourself from the opinions of others. So if you can do these things, like, you know, prioritize, practice, and perfect the plan, you're going to be successful.
So is that well, you just said you heard that yesterday, but okay, so how was that transition from being known as an entertainer and a comedian to actually being in politics and people viewing you as the elite politician now?
I always tell people I'm not a politician, I'm a humanitarian. Right? I'm always going to be a humanitarian. I was a humanitarian when I was telling jokes. I was a humanitarian when I was acting and I was producing. I'm going to always be a humanitarian. In politics, I'm going to be a humanitarian. I'm going to continue, you know, what I think politics should be. I think it should be for the people. And sometimes when people become politicians, they go for the money.
Right.
They go for the money grab.
Absolutely.
Well, I don't need no money. And I don't need no fame. I don't need no clout. I don't need none of that. I've had money for a long time, and I had clout for longer than people even know. Been on TV since I was 19 years old. I was a baby. I didn't know I was just running around the city on HBO. I thought that was, you know, I thought that was it. And I was just making moves. Teen Summit, boom. That's still on TV. And I was like, hey, so it's not about God has already made me famous.
Right.
It's about what I do now, what He's given me. You know, when He gave me the vision to run for mayor of Washington, D.C., in my head, I was like, come on, God, you done gave me many visions in life.
What's up with this one? You serious? For real?
This is the way you want me to attain now?
Yeah,
you know, many visions He's given me, and I've gone after Him. You know, but when He gave me this one, I was like, man, I said, okay, how do I work this vision? He said, allow me to help you work this vision.
Right.
Allow me to do it. And when I sat back and I was like, okay, I'm gonna allow you to do it. And He started showing me pieces and pieces.
It's all falling in place.
And pieces and pieces and pieces and pieces. And educating me on certain things that you would never understand how to be educated if you wasn't in that world of politics.
Right.
You know, but it's a world that anybody, you can learn how to be a politician. It's hard, but you can learn.
Right.
It's hard to be a humanitarian, but you can't learn how to be a humanitarian. You got to be in you.
Right.
Right?
That's a fact.
So, you know, they try to make it look like it's this big old
Thing.
monstrous thing that you can't obtain, but you can obtain it. But you got to put the work into it.
Yeah.
So, as I get into different interviews and they ask me political questions and I let them know what I strictly and I do know, it shocks people. Because they were like, well, how he know these things?
Yeah.
Because I found a way to study. I think we got to study anything that you want to learn. You have to study it. You have to, engulf yourself into. You got to get the distractions away from you. And once you get the distractions away from you, then you can open your mind to different things.
Right.
You know, I'm taking a DC politics class at UDC right now. And I'm the smartest person in the class.
Right.
I'm the oldest person in the class, but I'm the smartest person too. Because I know what I have to learn certain things. And I'm learning things about DC that they would never teach us growing up in DC.
What the reason of the 4 quadrants and where the funding goes to certain parts of the city and why certain neighborhoods are redlined and things of that nature. They're not going to teach us this growing up.
Right.
You know,
they're not even tell you that 1867 black men in DC got their first right to vote. In 1867, 7 years later, they took it away from the whole city because black vote was so powerful that it was moving the needle of their society.
Influential.
So they took it away from everybody, white, black, everybody. And 100 years later, that's when we got our right to vote again in D.C. That's when they put in home rule. That's when they gave us partial voting rights. That's when they gave us a quote unquote a system for a mayor, a council, and all of the ANCs and all of that you see around, but people don't get involved with local politics to understand that they can move the needle.
Right.
They'd rather sit back and be like, man, yes, I don't know that.
They're going to do what they do anyway.
Yeah, you feel me?
Yeah,
that's the worst attitude that you can
I
ever
ain't got
have.
no influence on that. I can't change that.
Yeah.
I told my youngest this year, we're going to party to the polls.
That's it.
November 8th, we're going to party to the polls. We're going to get them out of there, and it's going to be a new regime and a new system put back in place to help the youth, the elderly, and to help people of low income and high income come together to move this city toward a proper way.
That's it. And you see the power in his words. He said, "We are going to party to the poll." He didn't say, "I want to," or "I think we're going." No, this is what we're going to do. Right. And you speak that into existence, and you live that. You stand on it, and you live that. If that's what you honestly believe, if that's the direction you want to see things go, you live. Like he said, you become that.
Right.
Everything he talks, everything he consumes, is revolved around that party to the poll, to that date in November where things get changed, and because we get changed as a result of his hard work and his dedication.
Right. So, okay, this is a good question then. So for you, right, you starting in D.C., but I know you want your campaign to spread across different cities. So do you intend on expanding to other cities, and which cities would you target first, if you would?
I think my campaign has already become a national campaign.
Okay.
It started as a national campaign. I'm a national individual.
For sure.
It can't just be local, because my campaign is other cities' campaign. It's the same things going on in other cities that's going on in Washington, D.C. Absolutely. Public safety is in shambles. Unaffordable housing. You don't have homelessness is the number one homelessness problem in the world per capita is D.C. It's bigger than L.A., which is fourth, and it's bigger than Vegas, which is ninth. So D.C. is the biggest number one homeless problem. So, and when you start thinking about that, you be like, oh man, damn, I didn't see it like that. Education is falling short. Our kids ain't getting educated properly. And when you have these things, and this is happening in all cities, equity is not being shared to communities that it should be shared to.
Sure.
We got an $18.5 billion budget in Washington, D.C. And I say it again, $18.5 billion budget. We get $100 million a year on speeding cameras alone.
Right.
So if you was in a position of leadership, you should be able to say, let's take that $100 million and put it into education and maybe give scholarships to individuals that's going to college out of the city. Right. Help their parents to get on board so they won't be struggling to send their kids to college. Sure. It's money that could be revolved into the right places. Right. But it doesn't. It has to be. You have to have a leader that cares about these situations, not just a leader that wants to just care about developing without developing for all.
For sure. Right. That's major. That's major. Absolutely.
I didn't even know the budget was that high. So something I just learned recently, right? I don't be in the system at all, but I've recently learned that all of DC cases go straight federal, right? And they don't have any jails that I'm aware of now. That's correct, right?
You saying DC court cases?
They all go federal. Right.
Well, we got a district court and we got federal court. Okay. But when you go to jail in Washington D.C., if you make it past D.C. jail, you go to a federal system.
For sure.
Okay.
Because we don't have Lorton anymore. We don't have these jails anymore. So yeah, everybody who leaves D.C. becomes a federal inmate.
Oh, okay. Dang. That was.
If that don't scare the youngins,
I was about to say.
If nothing else, like you're not gonna be close to here.
Yeah.
They're gonna ship you to Denver.
And you're gonna be in the middle
Arizona.
of America. Yeah. Oh yeah. You in the hills.
Yeah.
You in the hills. In the mountains. You away from friends and family.
And that's not like I'm not trying to like promote crime or anything like that. But I just want people to understand that like that is major. That can impact your life.
But understand that they are looking for a reason to ship us there, right? And personal story for myself, now that I'm proud of, 3 years ago, I think I told you about this. a little over 3 years ago, the Capitals parade downtown, I caught a gun charge. I'm good to carry in Maryland. My paperwork wasn't clear for DC yet. I get off the train. I want to buy a T-shirt, change my T-shirt, wear a championship T-shirt like everybody else. Pulled up my T-shirt I had on. By the time I pulled down my new T-shirt, there was 6 officers around me. He said, I need to see your credentials, or I don't even know who you work for. I said, my credentials in my front left pocket. He reached for it. I said, look, take the pistol off my hip. You hold it till we get this squared away. I don't want y'all uncomfortable at all. I know how this can go. I'm laughing and joking with him. He running my paperwork and everything. My back, cool. He come back. 30 minutes later, he say, your gun check out, your gun clear, you clear, everything good except you can't have a pistol in my city. Put your hands behind your back. I said, man, what? I said, where we going? He take me down 1D. I'm thinking like it's in the movies. I said, my brother work 1D. I'm good. Yeah, I told my little brother, I said, I'll be back in an hour. Don't worry about it. Nah. Yeah. It wasn't like that. I missed the bus to go see the judge that day, so I had to spend the night. The next day, they gave me a public defender because I wasn't even calling my attorney. I'm like, this is nothing. Like, my paperwork good, I'm good. First thing the public defender say, I work on getting you 36 months. For what? My first charge, and this is a legit gun? Go see the judge the next day. The judge said, you know how much time you facing? I said, no, what's up? He said, 10 years in the feds. When you go to the feds, you got to do 80%. I said, 8 years for a legit clean gun with no body, and it's registered and everything? I called my attorney immediately, right? We went in, we did what we had to do. I had to pay him a bag, but I got 3 years probation, 3 years gun offenders list, and $1,000 fine, but had I not been in a position to pay my attorney, we wouldn't be here right now. I wouldn't be here with y'all. I'd be in the middle of America doing 8 years.
It comes down to finances too.
That's it. That's it. But just knowing, even if you in the hood, you don't got the money. Hey, hood, I need y'all to put this money up for me. You know, but an average joker, like, I'm gonna just take the public defender. I don't have a chance anyway. So whatever he say, I'm gonna take it. He wanted me to take that plea deal. Absolutely not, bro. Right. When those character letters start rolling in, when they found out what I did in the community for my people, how could you? For a legit gun, and I'm carrying a gun because I got celebrity clients every day, and they moving around with $40,000, $50,000 in cash and jewelry on them. I gotta protect myself. They got security, but that's security for them, not for me. I gotta protect myself at work. Once I explained my story, it all became okay, I guess, but I'm still dealing with it. I still got a felony charge now. That it'll be expunged soon, but I'm still fighting that. But had I not known, I could do better. Had I not known, there was another opportunity out there for me. But they want to see us in the middle of America. They want to see us behind that wall in Colorado, man. They want us out there, man. Because as we spoke on before we got started, the power in numbers, it's dangerous when you put this many strong-willed, strong-minded black men in a room together and we begin to work together on anything. On anything. If you have an issue in your community that you feel like is unfair or not serving of the community, get enough people behind you. And you'll make a change. You'll make a difference. Things that people are complaining about, enough people not complaining together. Everybody got individual arguments, but enough people aren't complaining together. Complain together, you make a change.
So how important do y'all feel it though to follow your dreams, right? Because as you know, I took the leap of faith.
Proud of you on that.
Appreciate you. Took the leap of faith. But a lot of people don't have that courage to do it, right? So what are some things that you would tell people? And this is what I would say, because it was one of my smaller things. Back in December, I said, okay, January 15th, I want to do a coat drive. Everybody, let's just get coats and blankets. We're going to take it out there to the homeless, right? And the movement got strong, but I never followed up on it. Literally, the next day after the 15th, it snowed. And I looked and I said, if I would have jumped on that opportunity, I could have changed some people out there lives. Sure. You know what I'm saying? For sure. So what are some encouraging words that you could say to people where it's like, okay, you have these ideas and it may not be clear to you right now and you may not know your journey, but if that's what you know you want to do, go for it. Do y'all believe in that, or do you believe in playing it safe?
Wholeheartedly. I believe in wholeheartedly going for what you feel. Like, so you get visions and then your spirit tell you whether to go or not, right? And your mind will tell you whether to go or not. I always say go with your spirit. You know, get these visions. If you got a coat drive idea, I don't care if you'd have gave away 2 coats.
Right. You made a difference.
You made a difference.
Yeah.
You know, never stop people start thinking too much.
That's a fact.
Get in their own way.
Yeah, you know, you start thinking, you get the visions, and then you think yourself out of the vision. You can't think yourself out of the vision.
Yeah.
You got to trust your visions and go with them. You know, that's even from everybody who's in this room right now. It was a vision. It started with a vision. You know, everything we do starts with a vision.
Right.
You know, so for how you gonna do your day, it starts with a vision. I'm gonna get up. I guess I'm gonna go in the shower, or I'm gonna go sit on the couch.
Yeah.
You know, but move with the spirit.
Right.
You know, don't let nobody ever stop your visions.
Right.
Not even your friends.
Not even your family,
Not
not
your
your
fam-
parents,
nobody.
your homies, none of that.
Because you gonna look back and say,
Damn,
I should have did that.
Yeah.
Just like you did the
That-
morning of the 17th.
Yeah.
You look at yourself in the mirror, you watch that snow coming down, like, damn, I should have did that.
Yeah, if I'd have missed this podcast today, I would have been mad at myself.
See,
Appreciate you.
I should have did that.
that's it.
No-
He's here to do it.
No matter what I'm feeling, no matter how many meetings I got,
Man,
I'm gonna pull up here
Yeah.
because I want to keep my words impeccable.
that's it.
You know, even if I don't know who I'm pulling up to, you know,
Blind faith. Blind faith.
super blind
Blind
faith.
faith.
Always.
I
blind
seen him
faith.
whip around. He looked. He like.
Now I just ain't know where the building was. I was like, okay, this look like a nice building.
Right. I think it'll be all right.
What's security at?
I think it'll be all right.
You know what I'm saying? I take this little small suit jacket off.
It's going to get real. It's so
I
real.
can't fight you in this jacket though. I can't get off. I can't get off of this
Swing
jacket.
and abbreviate.
He wrestles in this jacket.
Exactly.
It's gonna definitely split.
Yes. And the dry cleaners can't fix that.
You gotta go and tell the
That's it.
Georgetown Miss
Exactly.
Lee. Only Miss Lee can fix this.
Exactly. And I think to piggyback on what Red said, what a quote I heard from Eric Thomas. This is the first time I heard it in my life. You got to want it more than you want to breathe, right? So you're going to have plenty of dreams. You're going to dream of being a millionaire. You're going to dream of driving a Maserati. You're going to dream of living in Georgetown. Dream of traveling the world. Cool. But what's that one thing that's keeping you up at night? What's that one thing that's starving your attention from everything else? That's that. Put the gas on that, right? One of my boys hit me a couple years ago, and this is when I was early in the grind. I'm just hustling and hustling and hustling. He said, man, I see your grind. I'm proud of you. I want to take you out to eat. I said, man, I'm too hungry to eat. He said, man, what? I said, man, I'm too hungry. I said, I ain't in no position to sit down and have no lunch with you, man. I got to get it.
Yeah.
I got to get to where I'm at now and further, man. But you got to want it more than you want to breathe. And a lot of people won't understand that until they get in the trenches, right? Until their back is against the wall and they see that opportunity in front of them and they shut down everything else. I'm not going to the club. No, I'm not taking shorty to dinner. I'm not smoking with the homies. I ain't going to drink. No, this is what I got to do. I got to build this table. I want a different table for me. I got to build my table by any means necessary, and I want this table more than I want to breathe. I'm going to die by this table.
The people gonna always say, man, you changed.
Thought I was supposed to say the same?
Yeah, it's all right to change.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did change.
That's growth and development.
And accept that.
Absolutely. Stand on it.
I did change, bro.
Yeah.
However y'all talk to me, bro, I changed like a mug, and
And you should too.
Yeah. I guess I kind of went through that, and this was one of my things. So, I grew up Orlando. I'm from 25, so I grew up out King Square Apartments, and people know me as Lil G. Kept getting in trouble. Long story short, went down to Virginia and stayed with my grandma. Down there, I always tell people, and I promise you, people vouch for me. I was like a local celebrity down there.
I can believe it.
Everywhere I turned, somebody knew me. Everybody wanted to talk to me, you know. And it hit me about my influence and how much I got influenced, and even tied back to a story today. So, you know, I used to sit around everybody. I played football down there. Sit around everybody. It was this kid. He had Down syndrome. His name was Josh. He used to sit by himself all the time. So I just decided to go over there and sit with him. So we're kids into anime, different stuff like that. But I just started to vibe with him. From that day on, everybody started talking to him at the school. From down to the principals.
You made it cool.
Made it cool.
You made it okay.
Fast forward to today, I didn't know that that's power within that, you know? So one of my other little brothers, I wanted him to be here today because I felt like it was going to be a good conversation, especially for him on the come up, being exposed to everything. And, you know, people don't fight no more. People just straight shoot.
That's
so it's
it.
like violence everywhere.
Yeah.
But I wanted him to be around conversations where you can actually grow and actually learn something, and actually hear something that can spark change in you.
For sure.
So coming back here, people still knew me as Lil G, but I already transformed myself into a person that seen the differences, as you were saying, like the trades in the school. Like they literally had half of their school go straight to their trade, come back, the bus to take them home. We had driver's ed inside of the school. Like I was exposed to a whole different world. Come back to here, went to Eleanor Roosevelt, still good school.
Not that good though.
I mean,
not to the level of which they provide.
Yeah.
Is what I meant. No offense.
Yeah, nah. 98% graduation rate in my class.
There you go.
I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna say that.
Hey, man,
Be proud of that.
Yeah, that's something to be super proud of.
Nah, for real. But I came back and people were still viewing me as Lil G from 2-5. You know, going to the Go-Go's, you know, and all of that. And for me, it's like I came back and as you was touching on the box, I felt like I was back in that box until I really like took time. Like 11th grade, I didn't even play football. I just took time and I just sat and I just thought about who I want to be, and I still do it to this day because you develop as time go on. But it hit me and because it was like, oh, G soft now, like he a schoolboy, or you don't want to go out, you know. And I was actually hearing these things until and he can tell you they call me Grandpa G. Like my favorite go out, I just went to Orlando, went to go see New Edition, sing in my heart. You know what I'm saying? I'm into that type of stuff, that old school, family oriented type love type thing. So I came back and then just even like having podcasts, they'd be wanting me to talk about certain things, but I like to talk about stuff that actually matters, right? But that transition was hard for me because you do try to tend to what your friends like and stuff like that. So I wanted to share so bad that I actually lost my train of thought. But long story short, my little brother Barron, he told me, he was like, I'm proud to know you. Like when I look on your Instagram,
That's powerful. That's very powerful.
And it hit me like so different because it's just like, okay, that's just every day. Like that's not actually my little brother, but like the fact that he told me that he could look up to me like, bro, like I want to do things like you and stuff like that. It just made me go like, okay, how can I maximize each opportunity and show it? But it's hard because like you guys have certain backings, right? You've been on television, you have certain sponsorships, and I'm looking to move forward and do things, but I don't have the knowledge. And the knowledge is there, but it's hard when you really try to be hands on for everything that you're trying to do, right? So my question is, outside of like the change, like how do I preface this? Because it's a mental, like you got to be in a certain mental locking for it, right? But how do you get to that? And is it like a breaking point in that?
LeBron just said this on The Shop, this most recent episode of The Shop, and he said, F what everybody thinks. Because everybody's going to have an opinion, right? You could go out and you can give 100 quotes. Somebody will say, damn, why you ain't give 110? Right? You know what I mean? Well, why you ain't give my man a quote, my man on the street? How would I know that, right? Like, Red could show up and do this podcast and somebody say, well, why you ain't come do my podcast? I can't do two at one time. Yeah. They're gonna throw stones regardless. And now with social media, we're putting ourselves on the throne. We're putting ourselves ahead of the people on top, on a plateau, on a pedestal. It's gonna happen. So what? If that's what you believe in, stand on it. Run with it. The homies don't agree in it, cool. He do. Yeah, I'm a man behind the camera. They do. That's cool. That's power in numbers. That's 3 of y'all. Right. You know what I mean? Most people don't got 2 people to believe in them. You know, along with believing in themselves. Right. Run with it, man. Forget who you build it. They will come. Somebody somewhere is gonna love what you do. And it might not be around the way. It might not be 2-5, right? It may not be the DMV. It might be a community in Atlanta or in Charlotte or Houston. It's like, man, I love this podcast out of DC. This kid always talking everything I want to hear, and that's great. But don't let the opinions of others sway you. That's not what you're in this for. You're in this to follow your heart and your passion, man. And don't let the opinion of others sway you in any different direction.
Nope. I mean, he said it best. Stick to your guns.
That's it.
You know, and stand on it.
Facts.
Smile when you stand on it.
Yeah.
Let them know, like, hey, I see better for everybody. You know, let them know your experiences. I've been shot at 4 times.
Yeah.
I've been stabbed twice. You know, I don't want to be shot at no more.
Yeah.
I don't want to be stabbed no more. I just want to continue to live and be positive in my community. And what's wrong with that? What's wrong with wanting to be positive in your community?
Right.
And what's wrong with trying to make the world a better place? Who said that you're not the next Mahatma Gandhi? Who said that you're not the next Malcolm X or Muhammad Ali? Who said that? So, you know, once you believe in who you are, you don't know your future, but you know your now.
Right.
Just keep smiling at them.
That's it.
So, with your relationship with Cat Williams, did he give you? Of course, that's your friend, so he's supporting you throughout. But when you first introduced it to him, or if you did introduce it to him, how important was that? Well, how valuable was his word for you to tell you keep going?
Me and Cat's relationship is super strong. It's like a brother to me, yet a mentor. And I think we feed off each other's energy. I look at him as a person who always goes for what he wants. He do it his way. No matter what comes out of it, he always do it his way. And I respect that about him. So when I approached him and told him, you know, I was about to make my announcement to run for mayor last May, he said, it was interesting. He said, well, you're already in 8th place. He said, but one thing about being in 8th place, 7, 6, and 5 might trip over their own feet. 4, 3, and 2 might fall back in the back. And you just got to concentrate on 1.
That's it.
So I didn't understand what he was saying at the time when he said it.
Yeah.
But now I understand what he's saying. And that's what happened. People that should have been in the front slacked off. They didn't put the work in.
Right.
They wasn't knocking at the doors and getting out with the people and valuing the residents. And now we have here me being an independent candidate and waiting for a Democratic primary to be over to face who I'm going to face. I'm going to see who their number 1 is.
Right.
Because I'm already the number 1 independent candidate.
There you go.
So it'll be me against them.
Right.
And I just really feel like nobody's going to fight as hard as I fight.
Right.
And nobody's going to fight for the people as hard as I fight for the people. You know, history has, if you research my history, you'll see the fight in me.
Right.
You see what I've done, how I've been fighting. And maybe they don't research me. I would say they should, because I'm not an easy win.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like how you feel. You're not no easy win. You're not no easy win.
Sure.
Right.
And we'll see on November 8th how things pan out. But I'm definitely going to put the work in. And I think he was proud of me. And every time I see him, like, you know, we on World War III tour right now on Fridays and Saturdays. And when I see him, he continued to motivate me and pay attention. He said, I saw you do this. I saw you do that. I know he watching. I know he cared.
Yeah.
And I know he's contributed to the campaign. I know he's pushed other people to contribute to the campaign and donate to the campaign. So, you know, he got my back.
Right.
And I got his. And, you know, that's all you can ask for from friends and brothers and your homies. And, you know,
How you manage that? Going on tour and a campaign. That's a lot of work right there.
It is. That's insane, bro.
Shoot, that's what running a nonprofit organization,
Right.
Don't Shoot Guns, Shoot Cameras, and Beyond Your Block. You know, I think that when you prioritize and you're a multitasker, you can do what you want, and you can do it well.
Right.
You know, you just don't slack off. You just got to give up something.
And you said your nonprofit is Don't Shoot Guns, Shoot Cameras.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, it's a program I started for the youth from 12 to 18 to teach them filmmaking from beginning to end, where they write the scripts, they shoot the scripts, and they edit the script. They the directors, the producers, the executive producers, and it's been super successful. We started in Ward 8 2 years ago with 10 students. And then last year we did Ward 5 in Inglewood, California. So we kind of moved it from DC, did DC and Inglewood back-to-back weeks. And then we're implementing the program into schools and middle schools and high schools. And I did a spin-off program from that program now called Beyond Your Block, where we show our young men there's better things to do off your block and beyond your block. That you can always have your block, you can always have 2-5, but there's some other things that you need to learn. It's a mentoring program that I feel like it's going to be one of the most powerful programs in the country.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. I know you said 12 to 18, but for people like us, right? So as far as like production, a lot of people starting podcasts and stuff like that. Do you intend on expanding it beyond just the youth?
Yeah.
Like expanding the age limit?
Yeah. I think that it's a program that should be expanded. I think that mostly now, you can always come to me and say, Red, how can I start a film company, or how can I start a TV company? And I'm gonna tell you straight up, you already started it already.
Right.
You already got the gist of it.
Yeah.
Now it's about continuing to push.
For sure. I know you're a busy man. Your phone over there
Going crazy.
Going crazy. I don't want to hold you up too much. I just definitely want to appreciate both of y'all for coming out.
No problem.
I didn't want to get too political, but I also wanted our viewers to get a lot of game.
For sure.
Because we have a lot of private conversations,
For sure.
and if people check out certain podcasts that you've been on before, you can get a lot of knowledge based off of that. And pretty soon I'm gonna be sitting up just like that. You know what I mean?
You're sitting up like that.
You got it already.
Yeah, you're already sitting up like us. It's better than us.
For sure.
Look like you did your push-ups this morning. You know what I mean?
I did.
I'm slacking. I'm slacking, man.
I just started my fitness journey, so I'm about to vlog. So, and even with fitness, so before we go, my fitness journey, right? So I gained weight. I told you last year. I'm on the journey to become a personal trainer. How you say don't limit yourself to a box. People like focusing on your podcast. I don't know what you're trying to do with your fitness. I'm like, don't worry about it. I got it. You know what I'm saying? So I got it. So my fitness journey, I just want people to understand the importance of just being happy, no matter what you look like. Getting in the gym, getting active, and not putting everything complete. Like, I'm not saying you gotta be the healthiest person in the world, but I want my fitness journey to be challenge yourself to become better than yesterday. That's just my message on my fitness journey. I just started vlogging it. I'm gonna give raw cut footage. I'm talking about like talking, showing my workouts, and not just I completed my workout now. I'm just showing y'all demos. Like, I want y'all to see the grind and what it takes to achieve your greatness. Because when I work out, is literally me versus me, and I push myself every single day. And that's why I love working out. So that's my spiel on my fitness journey. I just want to appreciate y'all for coming back out.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, man, thank you, bro.
And Upnext podcast, we gone. Appreciate y'all.